The sun in Culiacan is not a celestial body. It is an interrogator. It hangs over the plaza, heavy and white, bleaching the color out of the world until everything looks like an overexposed photograph. You are 15 years old, and your entire existence is defined by the four legs of a cheap, white plastic chair. The plastic is thin, warped by years of relentless heat, and it groans every time you shift your weight. Your skin is slick with a mixture of sweat and the fine, gray dust that rises from the passing trucks, dust that tastes like minerals and old rubber. In your hand, a bottle of Coke is rapidly losing its fight against the temperature. The glass is warm, the liquid syrupy and stinging, but it's the only thing keeping you tethered to the shade of the convenience store awning. You are level 1, a lookout, a halcon. To the world, you are a boy idling away his youth. To the boss of the plaza, you are a biological sensor, a tripwire in the dirt. You sit there, watching the intersection where the asphalt is cracked and bleeding tar. You know every car in this neighborhood. You know the rusted fenders of the local taxis and the high-pitched whine of the delivery mopeds. But your eyes are trained for the anomalies. The black SUVs with windows so dark they reflect the sun like obsidian mirrors. The snakes. If you see them, you send a text. One emoji. No words. If you see the high, square silhouettes of the military convoys, the trucks filled with men in digital camo who don't smile, the birds, you send another. For this, you are paid $100 a week. In a town where your father broke his back in the fields for $10 a day, this feels like a king's ransom. It feels like power, until the afternoon the world stops. The heat that day is a physical pressure, making the air shimmer and dance. Your eyelids are heavy. For 30 seconds, just 30 seconds, you track a stray dog limping across the street instead of the horizon. In that window of distraction, 3 dark trucks roll through. By the time the dust settles, they are gone. Your phone doesn't just vibrate, it screams. The messages come in a blur of profanity and threats. Where are you? Are you blind? Do you want to die? A man appears from the shadows of the store. He doesn't look like a soldier. He looks like a businessman in a linen shirt that costs more than your house. He smells of expensive tobacco and cedar wood. He leans down, his face inches from yours, and you can see the tiny broken capillaries in his eyes. He tells you that silence is the only thing that keeps you alive. He tells you that the next time you blink at the wrong moment, they will find a use for your body in the foundations of the new bridge. You don't sleep for 3 days after that. You realize then that the chair isn't a seat, it's a cage. By 18, you have graduated from the chair to the cab of a white semi-truck. You are now a transporter. The scale of your world has shifted from a single intersection to the vast, lonely stretches of the Mexican highway system. The air in the cab is thick with the scent of stale coffee, cheap cigarettes, and the overwhelming watery sweetness of 10,000 watermelons piled in the back. But the fruit is a lie. Beneath the floorboards of the trailer, hidden in a cavity welded shut by men who don't speak, lies 500 kilograms of methamphetamine. The weight of it feels like a physical pull on the steering wheel, a gravitational force threatening to drag you off the road. The drive from Sinaloa to Tijuana is 8 hours of psychological warfare. Every set of headlights in your rearview mirror is a potential predator. Is it a highway patrolman looking for a bribe? Is it a rival crew looking to hijack the load? Or is it the federales, who will throw you into a concrete hole and forget where they put the key? Your stomach is a knot of acid. You think of your father, who died because he wouldn't let the cartel use his irrigation lines. You are driving the very wealth that killed him. You hate the smell of watermelons. You hate the vibration of the diesel engine through the soles of your boots. But when you reach the warehouse in the dead of night, and a man hands you an envelope thick with more cash than you've ever seen, the hatred numbs. It turns into a cold, hard calculation. You aren't a boy anymore. You're a logistics officer in a shadow war. By 22, the numbness has reached your heart. You are a collector. You no longer move the product. You move the fear. You have a 9mm tucked into your waistband, and its weight is a constant, comforting pressure against your spine. You have a list of businesses, the taco stands, the pharmacies, the auto repair shops. Each one owes a protection tax. You walk into a bakery, the air smelling of yeast and sugar, and the silence that follows you is absolute. The owner, a man with flour on his hands and eyes full of ancient exhaustion, hands over the envelope without a word. He doesn't look at you. He looks through you. You are a ghost to him, a harbinger of the end. But there is always one who thinks the rules don't apply. A restaurant owner on the edge of the district refuses. He talks about dignity. He talks about God. You listen, nodding, your face a mask of polite indifference. That night, you return with a crowbar and 2 men who have forgotten how to feel pity. The sound of the glass storefront shattering is a sharp, crystalline explosion in the quiet street. You break the tables, you break the chairs, and then you break the man. As you stand over him in the dim light of the kitchen, smelling the spilled olive oil and the metallic tang of blood, you realize you don't feel anger. You don't feel joy. You feel nothing but the professional necessity of the act. You wipe a smudge of red off your leather jacket and walk out into the cool night air. The transition is complete. The kid on the plastic chair is a memory of a different person. Now, at 25, you are a cell leader. You run 10 men, most of them younger than you, all of them hungry and dangerous. You manage 100 kilos of white powder a month, a literal mountain of misery that you turn into stacks of rubber-banded bills. You live in a house with a high wall and a pool that stays blue and empty. You have a woman who loves you, who believes you are a successful contractor. You lie to her every day with a practiced, gentle smile. You kiss her goodbye, smelling her floral perfume. And then you go to a warehouse to oversee the torture of a rival lookout. The stress is a constant, low-frequency hum in your bones. Your men are reckless. They drink too much. They talk too loud. They attract the wrong kind of attention. You have to be the shadow that keeps them in line. When a rival crew executes one of your drivers, you don't call the police. You call your mechanics. You send them to a bar frequented by the opposition. The sound of the AK-47s in the confined space is deafening, a rhythmic thudding that stays in your ears for weeks. 12 people die. The news calls it a massacre. You call it a rebalancing of the market. But at night, when the house is silent and the only sound is the hum of the air conditioner, you sit by the pool and look at your hands. They look the same as they did when you were 15, but they feel heavy. They feel like they are made of lead and old blood. You realize that you aren't rising through the ranks. You are just sinking deeper into a hole that has no bottom. By the time you reach 30, you have become a regional operator. You are no longer on the streets. You are in the atmosphere. You operate from safe houses that change with the lunar cycle, villas with terracotta roofs and hidden basements, apartments with panoramic views of cities you own, but can never truly walk in. Your wardrobe has shifted to bespoke suits that hide the bulletproof vest you wear like a second skin. You handle the logistics of an entire state. The movement of precursor chemicals from the coast, the bribing of generals, the coordination of the cooking labs hidden in the jungle, where the air is thick with the caustic, chemical stench of ammonia and ether. The money is no longer something you can carry in an envelope. It is a tide. It flows through car washes, construction firms, and legitimate export companies. You spend your days looking at spreadsheets that calculate the cost of human life against the price of a kilo in Chicago or Los Angeles. You are a CEO of a shadow corporation, but your HR department uses chainsaws instead of severance packages. You have achieved everything the boy on the plastic chair dreamed of, but the price is a permanent, itching paranoia. You don't trust the water you drink unless you see the seal broken. You don't trust the silence. You have 5 cell leaders reporting to you, and you watch them like a hawk watches field mice. You know that one of them is already measuring the curtains in your office, waiting for you to make a mistake, to get soft or to get caught. Then comes the promotion you can't refuse. Level 6, the Plaza Boss. You are a ghost now. The world knows your alias. The newspapers print a grainy photo of you from a decade ago, but you don't exist in the light. You live in a fortified compound in the Sierra Madre, surrounded by men with heavy weaponry and eyes that have seen too much. Your life is a series of encrypted messages and hushed conversations. You negotiate with other cartel heads, dividing the map of the country like a birthday cake. You meet with governors who sit on your leather sofas and sweat through their expensive shirts as they take your money. You don't even have to threaten them anymore. The reputation of what you are is a shadow that precedes you. But the isolation is absolute. You have billions in offshore accounts, yet you eat simple meals of beans and tortillas because you're afraid your chef might have been reached by the DEA. You can't go to the cinema. You can't walk in a park. Your children live in Europe under assumed names, and when you speak to them on encrypted lines, they sound like strangers. They think you are an international businessman. In a way, you are. You trade in the only currency that never devalues: pain. You manage the golden triangle, coordinating the poppy harvests that turn into the black tar heroin flooding the north. You manage the submersibles that hug the ocean floor, carrying tons of white powder. You are at the pinnacle, but the air is thin, and the ground is made of glass. By level 7, you are the cartel leader, the Kingpin. You are the one the president mentions in speeches. There is a $10 million bounty on your head, a number that feels surreal, like a score in a video game. You have had plastic surgery to sharpen your jaw and change the shape of your nose, shedding your old face like a snake sheds skin. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the man staring back. You are a legend, a folk hero in narco corridos, and a monster in the eyes of the world. You control the flow of poison across continents. But the war is constant. Rival cartels are no longer just competitors. They are insurgencies. The streets of your cities become battlefields. You order cleansings, leaving messages in the form of human remains to mark your territory. You have lost the ability to feel the weight of it. You are no longer a man. You are an institution of violence. Then, the inevitable happens. Betrayal doesn't come from a rival. It comes from within. A trusted lieutenant, a man whose children's christenings you attended, trades your coordinates for a deal with the Americans. The end doesn't come with a grand battle. It comes at 4 a.m. with the sound of rotors and the shattering of your bedroom window. Level 8, Supermax. The transition from a mountain palace to a 7 by 12-foot concrete cell in Colorado is the ultimate decompression. There is no gold-plated pistol here. There are no bodyguards. There is only the hum of the fluorescent light that never truly turns off and the heavy, mechanical thud of the steel door. You are in ADX Florence. 23 hours a day, you are alone with the only thing you couldn't leave behind: your memory. You think of the restaurant owner you beat. You think of the 15-year-old lookouts who died in the crossfire of your market adjustments. You think of your father's land, the dirt he loved, and how you traded it for a life spent in a box. You are a king of nothing. You have all the time in the world to realize that the empire you built was just an elaborate way to build your own tomb. Outside, in Culiacan, the sun still punishes the earth. The dust still tastes of exhaust and minerals. A new kid, 15 years old, sits on a white plastic chair outside the same convenience store. He has a Coke, a burner phone, and a dream of being like you. He doesn't know that you are in a hole in the ground. He only knows the legend. He watches the road, waiting for a black SUV or a military convoy. He sends a text. The cycle begins again. Level 9 is the successor. The system is immortal. The men are just fuel. The cartel doesn't die. It just changes names. And as the kid watches the trucks roll by, he thinks he's starting his life, unaware that he's already just a ghost in waiting. This is the ink of your story, written in the wound of a nation.